to order. We don't need to appoint any alternates. I just got to ignore this sign that says we're being live streamed. Okay, the first order of business is the approval of minutes of January 20th meeting. Does anybody have any comments? I read through it. I did not see anything.
I just saw one thing. There's a typo on line 42. The town Dairy Inn has got a misspelling. It has 2 A's in it rather than the normally required AE. It's actually spelled correctly on the preceding page, so it's a typo.
Oh, yeah. Good catch. Anything else? Diane?
No.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the minutes of the December 6th, or no, December 20th regular meeting.
I'll
make a motion.
Okay, go ahead, Diane.
Oh,
Diane?
sorry. I will make a motion to approve the minutes of December 20th.
I'll
With
second.
one correction. And a second,
Kevin seconded.
who seconded it?
Kevin,
Kevin,
Kevin, okay. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Carry 6-0. Thank you. Okay, the minutes are approved. The next order of business is to continue the public hearing of application 21-24 of the Simsbury Zoning Commission for text amendment to zoning regs to opt out of Public Act 2129. Okay. Did we have any more public comment, Laura?
We have not received any new public comment.
Okay. Commissioners, anybody have more comments? I think Laura has gotten a resolution from the town attorney, approved by the town attorney, that was on our Dropbox.
It was?
This afternoon. I got it back this afternoon. It was uploaded to the Dropbox.
At what time? I don't know how this happens. It doesn't really matter. I haven't seen it. It doesn't matter if it was 2 o'clock or 5:30. I didn't see it. So
It was around 1, for what it's worth.
Okay. Laura, do you want to summarize it for us?
So
It's,
I did hear back from
Mhm.
legal counsel. The changes that were made were highlighted, I believe, in your copy. Perhaps they weren't, maybe the highlights didn't go through in my memo. It was a memo dated today.
I do have it.
Attorney D. Crescenzo just kind of specified certain things and to really point out what sections of Public Act 2129 that we're opting out of, specifically Section 6. So the text on it has been changed. We did add the addition of the Hartford Simsbury form-based code and center code in that section, just to make sure we included all of the different zoning regulations that we have in town, as you suggested. And this is 100% his redraft that was uploaded.
Sorry, I missed that. So what's the highlighted in yellow indicate? Those the wording that he modified or that
That
you
is the
modified?
wording he modified.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Okay, any further comments from the commission on the public hearing?
So, Dave, just because we're not going to fully discuss this during the public hearing doesn't mean that once a decision's made that we won't have discussions when we rewrite whatever we're going to rewrite in response to this, correct?
When we close, what we're doing here is having a public hearing, and we can, if we choose, close the public hearing. Once we close the public hearing, then we can consider the resolution and make a motion to approve the resolution as we choose to modify it. we
And then
can-
and then from there, we can, in the future, have other discussions to consider what we will do in response to whatever we decide here.
Right,
Okay.
it would be a motion by the commission to modify its zoning regulations. And that would be us saying, okay, here's the things we'd like to do and consider, and we would schedule on the agenda. And we would ask staff to draft some comments or some draft regulations consistent with our agreed upon wishes. And then we would schedule a public hearing again. And then we would hold a public hearing, get the comments, close the public hearing, and then vote on those regulation changes. So it would be, a few months before we got through that process. But that would be how we would do it.
Right. It doesn't make sense for us to do it now until we approve this and the board of selectmen approve this, because otherwise we could just be going to the state reg.
Right. So we saved the how-to discussions for later. We're really just discussing this one issue at this point in time then.
Right, and the reasons for it, we want to make sure that the reasons that we're making this recommendation are included in the resolution.
Well, then I would have one thing to say.
Okay,
That I disagree with the reason that perhaps certain zones, residential zones, should be excluded from having detached accessory dwelling units.
I don't think that's what it says.
I think it says to consider because of certain zones, correct?
We can, one of the reasons that we want to opt out is we may feel that there are different requirements or different regulations applicable to different zones.
Okay.
So, in R15 where the lots are smaller, we might say, okay, 700 square feet is enough. Whereas R40 or larger, maybe we would say 1,000 square feet, is a.
Okay. I just didn't want it, I would disagree with giving the idea that maybe certain zones would be excluded from being able to have. That's just my 2 cents. That's all I have to say.
Okay, but I don't think the resolution says that, does it?
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, but if you polled the people sitting here, I don't think any one of us would say there should be a zone with no ADUs. I don't care how big it is.
Okay.
I'm not inclined to that. I never heard anybody say they were. So
No, I
think
just
you're worried
thought
about-
I recalled some of the wording that was suggested to go to the Board of Selectmen that had something about maybe not having it in certain zones. That's all.
Well, what Bob drafted is a formal motion to be voted. That's his suggestion, but we're free to add to the message that goes from the zoning commission to the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
If we want to embellish somewhat or whatever, we could feel free to do that.
Yeah, one of the things that's not in here is that our regulations distinguish between attached and unattached or
Right.
detached ADUs, and I think that's important for our regulations. And we don't mention that in the resolution here.
Yeah, but you just can't add to that resolution every point in all these regulations that we think is worth hanging on to and what things we feel like need to be changed. We defer that conversation and identifying those things for down the road.
We want to make sure that the selectmen understand what the reasons are and that we think they're substantial. That's all. I think we all agree with that.
I don't want to belabor it, and I haven't read the document, but I know Mike was asked, and it could be that it's just not feasible now. But for more information on identifying the towns that have opted out as a basis for information to be communicated to the Board of Selectmen, I don't know if there's any more to that, but I'm still inclined to do that, even if we can't add anything beyond what Mike said last time we were together.
Laura is keeping track of that for us.
So there was a memo uploaded to Dropbox with the addition of all the other towns that have opted out. I will, when we present this, because I will actually be going to the Board of Selectmen meeting to explain a little bit about this opt-out and the background behind it, in addition to Bob DiCrescenzo will be coming as well.
It could be a
So-
covering memo that goes with this motion.
Yep, and they're also going to get my original memo too, explaining what our current zoning regulations are versus what the state's proposing. We're not just blindly giving them the resolution.
Right, I mean, that's our job. Okay, do we want to close the public hearing or do we want to continue it?
Well, for the sake of discussion anyway, I'll propose that we close the public hearing now.
Second?
Yeah, second.
Second by Kevin. Okay. All right, I think we've talked a lot about these things. I think it's a matter of making our wishes known. I think I'm in favor of closing it. Ann?
I just wanted to ask when the Board of Selectmen meeting is going to be held when you're presenting this, Laura.
They don't know until we approve it.
Oh, okay, so you don't have a date for it. Okay,
Tentatively, it could be as soon as the second meeting in January, but it all depends on if it goes through with you guys.
okay, thank you.
They'll also need to do a public hearing.
Correct.
And they have to approve it like we do. by
2/3
2/3.
majority. Mhm.
But we only need a majority to close the public hearing.
True.
I believe. Anyway, so Donna, what do you think? Is it time to close the public hearing?
Sure.
Diane?
Agreed, yes.
Ann?
I'm for it.
Okay. Bruce?
Aye.
Yeah, and Kevin. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, none against. Did anybody abstain? No. So we close the public hearing on application 2124, is it? And we'll move on to the next one. Okay, we're opening a public hearing, 2129. Mr. Vice Chairman, could you read the call?
Public hearing on application 2129 of the Simsbury Zoning Commission, applicant Michael Glidden, CFM, CZEO agent. Application for a text amendment to sections 3.4, 4.5, 5.5, and 17.4 of the zoning regulations, amendments for the purpose of establishing short-term rentals as a use in the regulations per submitted.
Thank you. Okay, comments by the commissioners. We have a draft somewhere. I have a draft that was approved by Bob DiCrescenzo. And I think the purpose is pretty straightforward. We have to enable short-term rentals as an approved use within our regulations. And then the selectmen will approve it or permit it by a permit. So comments on it? Do we have any public comments? Oh, Bruce, you have a comment?
No, I made a comment at the last meeting. I'm interested in what the outcome was. And it had to do with my concern that the draft document that is no longer a draft as far as the Board of Selectmen, they voted to adopt a short-term regulation, a short-term rental unit permit process. And what I brought up at our last meeting at this time was that document had a placeholder in it for an insurance amount that had been recommended by our town attorney to the committee that drafted that regulation. And instead of getting a number in there, the town attorney had reacted to a suggestion that $1 million limit for liability be inserted. And a placeholder was composed in syntax. It didn't identify any number. And so in my mind, the Board of Selectmen voted something that's a little bit hollow. It endorses the notion of some sort of insurance, but it doesn't specify any insurance. And so I suggested that, maybe there's an opportunity for us to bring that to the board's attention, not necessarily to duplicate what they didn't do. There's no need for that, but and the outcome of the meeting, per the minutes of the meeting, is that Laura was going to ask the town attorney for his personal reaction to that concern. And so I'm interested in whether Bob DiCrescenzo's fine with the fact that there's no figure, there's no number in the call in that regulation for insurance.
I
So I don't know that my
All right,
interest.
let's back up. I think we decided it's really out of our purview. And really.
Oh, I don't remember deciding that. Did we vote on it, Dave? I don't think that's true.
I think
I think it's a
Setting
reasonable concern
insurance-
to come up at a public hearing.
setting insurance amounts is not really something we should be doing. Now, if that's my opinion, I don't know. Will everybody else speak up on that, please?
Well, just let me clarify. That's not what I was suggesting. I was suggesting that we confirm that the Board of Selectmen and the town attorney are on board. There's no confusion. There's no misunderstanding. They're simply not going to specify an amount. So there's no point really in having a call for liability insurance in that permit
Okay.
process.
I think that asking them is something that Laura could do.
We also have our liaison here, so
Just
You could-
pointing out that seems to be omitted from the conditions that a permit would require.
Okay. That sounds reasonable. Amber, if it would help you, I'll send you the letter from Bob DiCrescenzo acknowledging the need for that insurance requirement. And you can look at what the Board of Selectmen voted on, because I think you were there. Anyway,
Well, why don't you send me what you have and I
I
can
will.
follow up.
Yeah, it's public information. It's a letter
All right,
from the
Bruce.
town attorney.
I think further discussion on the subject is out of order. Let's go back to the public hearing and comments on the proposal. Do we have any more comments? Is there anybody in the public care to speak to this application? Have we received any comments, Laura?
I have not received any public comment on this.
Okay, are we ready to close this public hearing? I think it's important that we do act because we have an opening in our regulations for which I think it's important we close it up and permit these short-term rentals. Do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Donna, a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Ann. Any further discussion? Diane, Kevin?
No, I'm good. I feel like this is something that's been going on for a while. I think, I'm okay with it.
Okay, then let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Okay, the public hearing is closed, 6-0 with no abstentions. Okay, next order of business is the application 2124, consideration of the resolution that was put forth. Do we want to act on it this evening, or do we want to wait until everybody's had a chance to mull it over?
I'm ready to act on it, but that's just me. I feel like hopefully we've made it clear what, that our desire is to certainly address this, but in our own terms. And I think we've put everything in place now that Bob's had a chance to look at it. I'm good. That's me.
Okay, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm fine with the resolution that we have in front of us.
Ann?
Yeah, I agree with what Diane said. We talked about this for quite a while now. I think the citizens or residents of Simsbury have had ample opportunity to bring forth their concerns. And I think we're well aware of the concerns, and I think we're ready to move on.
Good. Donna, you said
You're muted.
Muted.
Oh, sorry,
You okay, Donna?
phone was ringing. I'm good. I'm good with moving on with
Okay,
this.
Bruce?
Well, let me just get this. So moving on means we're looking to right now endorse transmitting the letter that Bob DiCrescenzo has drafted, the motion to the Board of Selectmen as our decision. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, I'm not going to vote to do that with a document I haven't seen. So I would offer that I'll abstain from voting on this issue tonight. I haven't seen the document. Is
Would
that
you
my
like-
fault or Laura's fault or nobody's fault? I don't know.
I would be happy to
Documents that
pull
are
it up.
important for a meeting need to be in our hands before a couple hours before the meeting. But we've been over this, a number of times in years gone by. So I'm not complaining. I'm offering the point. I haven't read it, and I'm not going to vote one way or the other, a document I haven't seen. So
Yeah, I mean, if Laura can pull it up for everybody to share it, that would be good
Yeah,
anyhow.
we could have, can you share the document, Laura? Thank you. I think our motion should also include the other documents that Laura mentioned being transmitted to the Board of Selectmen. So when we're ready to make a motion, I think we should move to approve the resolution and to transmit it with the following attachments.
I think that's a good idea.
Or do it in two different motions, I guess. Because one is the motion to approve. Because that's the formal.
That's the formal.
Resolution, and then the other one is just
Okay,
a memo to us that we want documentation to go with it.
okay, we can do that.
Laura's sharing. No pressure, Laura.
Can you see it now?
We can see it, we just
Yes.
need a little bigger.
Yes, we can. If you could scroll it up a little bit, that would be good. Okay, there's page one.
Oh, let me make it.
Simsbury Zoning Commission has initiated the opt-out process found in Section 6F of Public Act 2129 regarding the regulation of accessory dwelling units by requesting and receiving a positive referral from the Planning Commission on November 9th, 2021, and thereafter conducted a public hearing on November 15th, reconvening on December 6th, and December 20th, and January 3rd. In accordance with Connecticut General Statute 8-7D, has considered the provision of 6A through 6D of Public Act 2129 regarding accessory dwelling units as set forth within Connecticut General Statutes 8-2 as revised under Public Act 2129, and hereby affirmatively elects to opt out of those provisions as authorized by Section 6F of said Public Act. The reasons for the commission's decision are that A, the commission will be reviewing the current regulations for accessory dwelling units regulated of the Simsbury zoning regulations under sections 3.5.2 A-B, and B, the commission will also review the Hartford Simsbury Form-Based Code and Simsbury Center Code to make changes which it deems necessary or appropriate. In its review, the commission will consider factors such as appropriate scaling, with the possibility of unit size being based on zoning districts, regulating the permitting process of approval consistent with section 6A through 6D of Public Act 2129, and to retain the ability to modify regulations on an as needed or as appropriate as authorized by the Public Act. The Commission also hereby requests that the Board of Selectmen ratify by 2/3 majority the decision of this commission opting out of the provisions of the amended Act General Statutes, Connecticut General Statutes, Section 8-2, as provided for in Section 6F of Public Act 2129. If adopted, notice of this resolution shall be published in accordance with the provision of Section 6F4 of Public Act 2129. Okay. Questions, comments?
Well, one thing, we would correct that one sentence that was awkward there, where we had, one, two, three, the last paragraph on the first page where it says, we'll be reviewing the current regulations for accessory dwelling units of the Simsbury zoning regulations. Get rid of the regulated of, just get rid of the regulated.
What line is that, Kevin?
That's the second line of the last paragraph. And then can you point there, Laura?
Oh, it should be, yes, you could get rid of
the regulated there.
the regulated word. That makes it less awkward. Okay.
Well, let me just offer this concern that when I look at this document, it distinguishes between what we call the zoning regulations, Town of Simsbury zoning regulations, and the Hartford Simsbury code, as well as the
Center.
third one. But in the latter two, while they're smaller, and sort of ancillary in some ways, he doesn't cite the specific sections and paragraphs that we are opting out of in those portions of the Simsbury zoning regulations. He just says, we're going to review those.
Because it's not in the,
Well, if there's nothing there, why do we list them?
Because it was asked. We asked staff to make sure that they were included in our consideration.
Well, the thing caught my eye with the Hartford base code was relative to parking and parking specifications. And I'm not sure that some of the parking language in that statute doesn't reach our code, even though it may not be directly connected with accessory dwelling units. But I'm not the town attorney. If Bob thinks this is it, then let's go.
I think it says we can consider those regulations in our revision.
My point is, he's not notifying that we're opting out of anything specific. We're just going to consider those. It's a different approach than.
We're opting out of the state statute. It's not our regulations we're opting out of.
Okay.
I mean, our regulations are something we're going to continue to, this is what my purpose is to continue to use our regulations and modify them as needed. Okay, I think everyone is ready to vote, right? We make a motion to adopt this resolution number 1, Kevin. I think that was your suggestion.
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve this resolution to opt out of the revisions to Connecticut General Statutes, Section 8-2, as submitted to us.
For a second?
I'll second.
Second by Bruce. Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
I,
Opposed? Any abstain? Okay. Passes 6-0. Thank you. All right, Kevin, do you want to make a motion about including the other documents? Laura, can you list those documents for us?
There's a memo included in your Dropbox that is just a memo that lists the different towns. It's an ever-growing list of opting out. Would you like to include that?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
the other thing is my original memo that compares the zoning regulations, the current zoning regulations versus what the state statute was proposing, or the Public Act was proposing.
Yes.
I thought there was one other thing.
I don't, we don't have an overall cover letter to this that explains, the words opt out. I mean, it's called accessory dwelling unit opt out is even the attorney's letter here. And we're not opting out of accessory dwelling units. It just is, it's poorly worded.
We should just use the Public Act number and say we are opting out of Connecticut Public Act such and such.
Right, because we're not in ADUs. That's not an issue for us.
We're opting out of specific provisions of that Public Act.
But yeah, so we need to be very careful on how we word this so that it doesn't come across as because that's what, a lot of the public comment was they were making case for why we
Right,
need
I agree.
ADUs, and we all believe in ADUs.
Well, a lot of the public comment came from people who weren't particularly familiar with the act and less familiar with our regulations. So,
Right.
But well intended and taken to heart, but it is where we are.
Yeah. So the first line of his resolution is better. Resolution to opt out of revisions of Connecticut. And then regarding accessory units rather than saying or accessory dwelling unit opt out. That's not the way to phrase it. So we need to be careful when we transmit.
And in the interim, we're alive and well with our regulations on ADUs.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should send something to make a motion to send something to the selectmen that includes those two documents and a statement of our intent, which is to use our existing ADU units and modify them as necessary as time progresses, and not be hamstrung by the statute,
Yeah.
constrained by the statute.
Question is, who drafts the memo, the cover memo?
Pardon?
Who would draft the cover letter that when we send this to the selectmen?
Well, we can, or we should.
Well, yeah, but we're not going to draft it right now. So do we have someone that drafts it and
Okay.
or do we?
Laura, why don't you draft a cover memo for us to approve? Please. But this means that we can't send it until the next meeting, which is in February.
Unless you want
7th,
to.
it's only a month away.
Pardon?
It's February 7th. It's only a month away. And on top of that, we're settled. We know what our action is. It's just a matter of, we really have, plenty of time to get it in there.
We have time to do it. There's a year.
Right. Yeah.
So we have time to wait until February to approve that memo.
Yeah.
I do
Okay.
think Kevin makes a good point though with the subject matter. Maybe we can just say it's accessory dwelling units instead of the opt-out part. Or
Well, no, I think it's fine to say we're opting out of the Connecticut general statute, the
But
section.
not out of accessory dwelling units.
Yeah, right,
Right.
yeah, we got to get that language changed.
We'll edit the language.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let me just offer one point. I think I've heard this somewhere before, but in the document you did for us, Laura, that's dated 9/29, it's the grid that it compares current section 352 with the legislative change. You know, the one I'm talking about, this one. That first block under current section, it speaks to attached ADUs and detached ADUs. One's a site plan approval and the other one's a special exception. 100% accurate. But what's missing are the lightning words, public hearing and no public hearing. I think it's important to get those words in there. And a public hearing for the detached units, just so that we're all clear, and no public hearing for the attached site plan approval process. And
Fine.
so anybody who's looking at this will be able to see the words they're looking for, maybe. And then they could say, well, I don't hate the whole thing. I just hate this part about, where there's no public hearing. So anyway, I don't want to speculate on the reception or communication we'll receive, but
okay,
we're moving in the right direction.
good. Okay, I think we're through with this section. Let's move to the new business application 2127. Laura, do you have any news on the 2127?
Is that 200 Hot Meadow? I'm sorry, I do not have my
Yes.
agenda in front of me right now.
Yes,
Yes, I spoke with Mr. Donahue today. They just need a little bit more time. They're revising their plans so they can go before DRB and are requesting to go before you at the next meeting.
so we need a motion to table this application to the next meeting.
Chairman, I move we table application 2127 until our first meeting in February.
I'll second that.
Second by Bruce. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Carry 6-0. We table it to February 5th, is it?
7th.
7th, okay. Application 2128 of MAC 5 Development LLC. And this is a sign on Tractor Supply, right?
Yes,
Okay, good. Laura, did they went to DRB today?
They did go to DRB. They did get a positive referral for DRB with the one condition that the height of the sign be consistent with the height of the actual Tractor Supply sign. So the height for the garden center is at the same level. Currently, as they're
Okay.
proposing it, it's a little bit higher.
Okay, is there anybody from Tractor Supply that wants to address this?
well, my name is Mark Cohen. I'm the agent. I work for Arnco Sign Company of Wallingford, Connecticut. And what Laura said is correct. In the time we had between the DRB meeting and now, I did speak to them, and the architect was home, but he took his papers out and determined that the sign has to move down 10 inches. So that means that the top of the garden supply sign will be at the same height from grade as the top of the Tractor Supply sign, albeit they're on different walls. They face Hot Meadow Street, but the garden center is set back some. So that's just a clarification on the condition. The previous agent, Matt Darling, who did the original signs that I guess went before your board, I imagine at some point, he's no longer with that company. So what had happened in the interim between the time they got the approvals for the one wall sign reading Tractor Supply and the ground sign, which is being erected as well. The Tractor Supply has changed their marketing to include a garden center that they would like signed. Is it okay to share the screen? Because I have the picture of it.
Sure.
Okay, hold on a second. let's see. Share. Okay. So page 2 is actually the first page. It's backwards. So what you're looking at here is the garden center sign near the top of the facade for the garden center. As I said, it's going to be dropped about 10 inches, and that'll match the Tractor Supply sign. And then the side view shows how far back the wall is. This page is the detail of the garden center sign. And this is a revision. It had been changed in color, shape, and lettering to satisfy the other suggestions that the design review committee or design review board had suggested some time ago. So what we're looking for is zoning commission approval to add that sign to the roster of what's already approved. And I actually have the original drawings, which I can put up, but unfortunately, can you see what's on the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so over here, this was the proposal that was put before the DRB just before Christmas. And then, like I said, the architect was off for the extended holiday break. So this drawing is only for the reference point because the green sign has been changed, as I said, to satisfy DRB. So the height difference is the 10 inches, basically where the top of the goosenecks are down. And if you go back to this sign, the other thing that either the DRB or maybe it was Mr. Glidden or somebody at some point said that the sign was not allowed to be internally illuminated. So they came up with a floodlight that goes below it and will light the sign. And that detail is shown here as well.
So it goes below it and it's mounted on the building?
Well, it's not really the way the garden center is built. It's not really a structural wall. It's got trusses and then it's got a covering on it. So the mounting bar, I don't know if you can see my cursor moving, but the
Yes.
mounting bar, okay, is this horizontal bar
Oh, okay.
that's going to be tied in, and we're not putting that up. I think that's going to be welded or somehow bolted as part of the structure itself.
Got it. How about the colors? What did DRB say about colors?
Well, this drawing here, the little thing here, they noticed that just wasn't changed, but the color, they wanted to have the same color scheme of Tractor Supply, which is red, black, and then on white. But there's no red on this. I mean, there's no where to put the red. So the sign cabinet's black, just like Tractor Supply. The trim is black. The background is white, and the lettering is black.
Did they mention anything about the change in font?
Yes, as a matter of fact. How did you know that? What the reasoning was, going back to here, is because that font that they use for Tractor Supply is their corporate recognizable logo. Just like Home Depot has the disjointed lettering with the segmented H, O, M, and E. And that their desire was to have this be an informational sign and not mirror the font. And the DRB seemed okay with that. That was not a condition. They did ask the question, exact same question you asked. And that was the answer. And I don't think anything else was said after I answered it.
Did you get your answer, Kevin?
Well, I'm just wondering if that fits the guidelines though, because, we do have uniform sign requirements.
Well, typically corporate logos, if you have multiple businesses in a center and they do have registered logos, they generally do maintain those.
Well, you know, it's fine on the Tractor Supply one is fine. It's just why wouldn't the font on the garden center match? And do they not have, you know, you said it was a new concept for them. Do they not have a logo font for that yet?
Well, they do, but it would be more in line with what,
The green one?
yeah, I can give you a picture of that if you want.
Yeah, can we just see the font on that one?
Yeah, it'll take a minute. I gotta figure out. Let's see.
Well, I
You
can.
know what? Oh, here it is. I think I found it. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
That's a
Yes.
lot different. Because they also didn't like the icons, they didn't like the shape or the color or the color of the lettering.
Wow.
So it's drastically different. So in answer, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because in answer to your question, does it match their corporate identity? No, it doesn't. As far as the garden center concept does, but there have been, we only deal with Connecticut, but I've been told that there's been, a handful of places where they did have color restrictions, and what I got passed by the DRB is what they went with in other locations that did not allow or were hesitant to allow the coloration.
Okay, that's fine. Actually, it's a clearer type, what you propose versus the Tractor Supply type, but okay.
Well, yeah, it's more noticeable.
Yeah,
It's
Easier to
more
read.
legible.
Yeah.
It's more legible.
Yeah, especially at a distance. But I
Yeah,
would
you're
offer
right.
this piece of reference information that we have a McDonald's drive-in, restaurant thing here in Simsbury. It's been waiting since 1965, hoping someday we'll let them put in golden arches, but they have no golden arches. And that's been a symbol since the company was founded, and they just get over it.
Is that across from Staples?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have them on the clock though.
Okay. Anybody have any other comments about this or questions?
So the sign that we're really focused on is the garden center. And that sign has black font and white background, right? That's
And it's
it.
going to be lowered from the
Yeah,
position
got it.
there.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay.
How about everybody else? Ann,
I'm good.
Diane?
I got it. Thanks.
Okay. So we hear a motion to approve this application.
Yeah, I want to make a motion to approve application 2128 of MAC 5 Development LLC applicant Mark R. Cohen, agent, sign permit application pursuant to section 9 of the Simsbury zoning regulations related to the construction of a externally lit sign on the property located at 1603 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors Map H02, Block 403, Lot 002B, Zone B2. The approval is for the design listed on drawing dated 11, is that 8/21? Just so that we make sure which one's getting approved.
I don't
That's
know.
what I see there. I think it's 8 versus 6.
I think I put the
Hey.
agenda up by mistake.
Well,
put
it's the one we're
somewhere
going to
else.
approve, so you're stuck with it.
No, I mean, I shared the wrong screen. It's got that's not it. This?
Yeah. See
Yep.
the drawing date over there on the right?
Oh my God, I have to make that larger. I can't read that.
11, it's
Oh, wait a
11.
minute, no, now I see there's a revision there.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you can go down a little further, yeah, show my people.
there's a revision 2.
No, revision 1, 12/23/21.
Okay, yeah, revision 1, revised sign, like 12/21, I think you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to
No,
make
it
sure.
was 12/20. It was a couple days before Christmas. 12/23. I don't know.
Yes.
I found it a minute ago.
There's a drawing number. Well, is that not the same drawing number?
Same
It is,
drawing.
but I can't seem to get it to work.
It's the revision date of 12/23/21.
There it is. You can see the 1223.
Yep.
Right up
12/23/21. Okay. Just want to reference that number. And then sign plan approval is subject to the following conditions. 1, sign is to be externally lit. 2, an administrative zoning permit is required for the sign's installation.
Here, a second?
I'll second it.
Second by who? Donna or Diane?
Ann.
Ann.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None? Abstain? None. Okay, it passes 6-0. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for putting up with my sharing.
It's good.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think they're
Okay.
making great progress on completing that building before the snow gets too deep. I was by there yesterday.
Stop share.
Okay, application 21-30.
Hold on. Okay, thank you.
I think we have, Laura, I think we have some news on this.
There are several people here for this application as well. They did not go through. They went to design review board. They want some more information before actually giving a referral one way or another. They're going to be revising drawings and going back to design review board. They're trying to right now set up a special meeting and do it instead of on January, I believe it's January 18th, which is a Tuesday, which would be a special meeting date for DRB, just to review this application.
Now, we have some engineering and fire department concerns as
Comments.
well.
Correct. We haven't had updated engineering drawings or revised engineer drawings, and the engineer's comments have not fully been answered to date that I'm aware of, that I think we're still waiting on responses. But we do have
Okay.
project engineers.
Okay, we have some people here. Is there someone who would like to speak about this application?
Yeah, good evening. For the record, I'm Guy Hesketh. I'm a licensed professional engineer with F.A. Hesketh and Associates, and our corporate offices are in East Granby, Connecticut. Mr. Chairman, would you like me to do a full presentation at this time?
I think that we had a discussion with Dr.
Giorgio.
Giorgio preliminarily. I don't know, people in the commission want to hear it, or should we wait until we get the drawings that are updated?
Well, Dave, I think in light of the investment here and the time already invested, I think they should, I don't want an adverse decision and then somebody say they didn't get a fair chance. I think if they want to give the full presentation, they should give it now or give it later, but I think they should be able to do whatever they, up to and including a normal, complete thing. If they don't feel it's necessary, then.
Well, the question is, the set of drawings that we have as reference
Yeah,
do not have either the fire marshal or the town engineer's agreement. So it's up to them. They can do it now and do it later or whatever.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, my understanding is that the town engineering comments are mostly minor and technical in nature, and that we have concurrence with them for making the minor changes. They're, again, minor technical in nature. With regards to the fire marshal, we do have an alternative that we're looking at with him for emergency access around the building on Lot D. We're waiting on a response from him. It's one of these things that we believe that you would have within your purview to allow a condition of approval based upon his review of that, if that would be something that you would entertain at this point. Our concern is that we'd really like to move this project forward. As another option, we would prefer to make a presentation tonight, and then if it were possible to even have this commission have a special meeting on January 18th. I know that the typical meeting on the 17th, because it's a holiday and the town office will be closed, that's not an option for you. Design review has considered, and they're looking at trying to have that meeting on January 18th. If that would be something you guys would consider, we certainly could make a full presentation tonight, and then any of these minor issues that we have to resolve, we could resolve, have some plans into you so that they could be adequately reviewed prior to the next meeting, if that's an option.
Laura, do you have any comments from the town engineer?
Just the ones that were uploaded to Dropbox. I do believe I'm also waiting for Mr. Roy's comments on this, because I believe Public Works did have some concerns about it as well. And then there's also comments from the WPCA as far as plantings in their easement. So I wasn't sure if those were going to be addressed via updated plan sets. I thought that was my understanding. Perhaps I misunderstood.
Yeah, again, those are we have agreed to do that, and we would certainly accept those as conditions of approval. Again, they are minor and technical in nature, and they certainly are not showstoppers, and they don't significantly affect the design that we have before you with the plans that you have.
Yes, but you should be aware of one thing. We're not capable of making technical decisions. We're relying on the town engineer,
Right.
the WPCA, the fire marshal, to tell us that things are okay. And I understand your comment that, well, they're not big deals. That's an opinion. And I'm afraid we rely on the town engineer to tell us yes or no. But you are entitled to go ahead. You've got your people here. Go ahead and make your presentation.
Yeah,
You know, I before you do that, I think we're fine waiting. We're going to need to go back to get approved, finish the design, and let's get the answers, and we can do it then.
I think you're right. Really, as Dave outlines, it's, we're a lot of what you're going to be addressing to us. We don't have anything to say about.
I think we could have a very short. I think we could have a very short meeting with you if we wait a month or wait a couple of weeks. So
yeah, we could see the material in advance of the meeting.
Yeah. So we'll why don't we just do that? And we may not make that special meeting. So we need to take a little look in time and listen to the design suggestions that were made today. In the meantime, we can get the final answers to these, so you don't have to speculate, and we'll come back.
Well, the next meeting's February 7th.
That might be just fine. We have to figure out the architecture. We'll see.
Okay. I mean, these are fairly substantial buildings.
I realize that.
We want to get them right, and we want a product that works. And in solving that, we don't think we have any issues with what we're talking to you about today, but we'll get it to you so you can be very comfortable with it. And as I said, I think we could have a short meeting at that point.
Okay. So do you want to proceed or not?
No, we're going to wait.
Okay. There was a question about whether or not there was adequate parking once the changes were made. That's.
We're exceeding the required parking. We have 2-to-1 parking is what we're proposing.
Okay. That was just mentioned to me as a possible thing, that some of the on-street parking was going to be eliminated.
Those were in excess of what we needed. I mean, I think it was 4 spaces that they were talking about. And we think we've resolved how to do that as well.
Okay, fine.
I really don't believe we have any issues with this. We need to finish up with fire to get them what they need. In the meantime, the design's going to, if we're back in 2 weeks, it's because we figured out the design quickly. If not, we'd be back in a month. And I don't think we're going to press you folks to have a special meeting regardless. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank
I
you.
defer the decision to Tom, because that's fine with me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, folks.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye now.
Okay, so we'll table this application.
I move to table application 2130 until our February 7th meeting.
Second.
Who seconded? Diane?
Diane.
Okay.
Oh,
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstain? Okay, carry 6-0. The application is tabled. Thank you. Next discussion is the sign regulations update. The sign, I printed them out for myself. Do we want to spend some time and go through them at this point, or do you want to schedule a special meeting?
Can we, schedule a workshop for that one?
Sure. When would you like to do that?
February 18th? No.
Sometime, let's say sometime that week of the 18th. Let's see if we can get a place and we can do it on Zoom, so. What is a good date for everybody? That is Wednesday, okay?
Well, can we stick with our Mondays and go to like the 24th?
24th?
That's a Monday, just because we normally meet on Mondays.
Yep. That would be okay with me. That's fine.
Yeah, I
with me.
prefer that.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, that's a good idea. We can go through it line by line. Again, we have done it once, so it shouldn't be. remember what we said at that time.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a memo from staff on the alcohol use regulation. Remember the last meeting, we realized that the alcohol restrictions or the alcohol provision was applicable or listed under businesses. And so staff has moved that to a general category so that applies to everyone, whether it's in residential or any of these zones. And the other point was that there is a specific alcohol license that the state gives for gift basket. And so what I suggest is that we have the gift basket be specifically called out, since it's a specific license type.
Right.
And that would solve the problem that of our discussion the last time about what she has to do to do her business. And under the draft that staff has done for us, it would be I believe it's a special.
Special regulations, it's in section 8.
Yes, but in the gift basket case, it would be a home-based business, home-based service business that would require a 5-year permit, correct?
Correct.
Anyway,
And it's still a special exception, yeah.
no, not a special exception, right?
That's what the reg says.
A special exception for the liquor component.
Okay, all right.
Wow.
So she'd have to get a special
Better
exception.
study this.
Okay, I looked at it and thought it said that was, okay. So should we schedule a public hearing to discuss these modifications?
I think we should go ahead with scheduling a date, Dave, myself, just because I think well, I'm not 100% familiar with it. It's pretty straightforward, all things considered. And we could take in what the public suggestions might be and have a discussion afterwards and probably resolve this in just that one night.
Okay,
And we have to have a public meeting anyway.
okay, so we would like to make a motion to schedule a public hearing. Do we want to schedule it on the 7th?
Yep.
Kevin?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we schedule a public hearing on February 7th to address a text amendment regarding alcohol use.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Anybody opposed? Any abstain? It carries 6-0. We'll have a public hearing starting on February 7th for this topic. Okay. Anything else for this evening? Laura, any comments?
Nope, I'll go ahead and schedule that public hearing, get the legal notices out.
Okay. And we'll-
We do have 2 meetings in February, right? Or
No.
is February one meeting month?
one meeting,
Oh,
yeah.
well, Tony Giorgio better, hurry the group up to get February 7th. Or they roll into March.
Yeah, I talked to what's his name, our town engineer today. And he didn't give me the feeling that things were all under control there. There are big buildings and there's a lot of details, and they've supplied a lot of detail. But I think it's really important for us to make sure the drawings represent what's going to be done and not have a trail of memos saying, we'll fix this later, we'll fix that later.
Yeah, I'm open-minded about the whole thing, but I am a little surprised to see 2017 dates on those drawings and some of the back and forth of correspondence, and yet it's unresolved. I mean, how long does it take?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the reasons were. I mean, it could have been financing for all we know.
Yeah.
Okay, a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Kevin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody. Good night.